in 2 weeks just by dropping 7 hidden sugars. Certified nutrition specialist and author JJ Virgin joins me now from Palm Springs. Hi JJ, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
I read your book, and you lay it out very succinctly what sugars are and where they're hidden. Why don't you go into that right now? What is sugar?
Well, so here's the deal, because there's so much out there now about, like, watch the sugar, no more than 5 added teaspoons, but that's actually not the issue. It's not about no sugar, it's about lowering your sugar impact. And sugar is sneaking into some of the craziest places. So, Carol, we think we're doing everything right. You know, we're eating low fat, we're eating whole grains, but a piece of wheat bread can actually raise your blood sugar more than table sugar. So it's really understanding which foods create problems, create a high sugar impact, and how to get them out. And it can be silly things like balsamic vinegar or marinara sauce that can have, more sugar than Oreo cookies, for example.
Why is that?
Yeah, so what the heck is it? I really looking at sugar differently, in that it's not so much about the sugar in the food, it's what that sugar is doing to you. And depending on the types of sugar, say a processed wheat bread or skim milk, these things can have a dramatic impact on raising blood sugar and raising insulin, and actually making you crave foods even more. So it's really looking at sugar differently, not just glycemic index, but looking at the load of sugar, looking at insulin, looking at fructose, and then contrasting those with fiber and nutrient density. And that means that something like berries are great, or an apple, but apple juice is a problem, right? Red wine vinegar is great, but balsamic vinegar, which is actually syrup, is a problem. Some chunky tomatoes are fine, but a tomato sauce that generally has condensed sugar from the tomatoes and added sugar is a problem.
So in terms of a shortcut, what it seems to me that you're saying is that a lot of processed foods are using hidden sugars to make you addicted to their products.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up the A word. When you look at sugar, it's actually, we found out it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. They did a study on Oreos and rats, and they gave rats the choice of Oreos or sugar. They both lit up the same reward center in the brain, but when the rats were given the choice, they actually chose the Oreos over the sugar. They got more pleasure from it. So yes, processed foods, 80% of them have added sugar, and that's before you look at the natural sugars and then the carbs in the food. And that does make us addicted. It gets us wanting more and more and more, which is a problem. And that's why you have to look at the impact and start what I call trading the higher sugar impact foods, say a marinara sauce for something like chunky tomatoes, or a white pasta for, say, quinoa. Simple swaps that lower your sugar impact and help you break that addiction so you can take back the control over sugar.
You talk about different kinds of sugars. So you talked about fructose and glucose. Can you separate them out for us?
Yes, because ultimately all carbs except fiber turn into sugar, but there's 2 different fates. There's they either turn into glucose or they turn into fructose. And when you really look at those, fructose is the worst of all, because fructose goes straight to the liver and it doesn't raise blood sugar, which sounds like a good thing, except by not raising blood sugar, it also doesn't trigger any of the satiety signals. So you didn't know you ate. Your body doesn't know that. So it goes straight to the liver, starts making fat, and you're still hungry. I mean, how unfair is that? Now, glucose has issues too. It raises blood sugar and can make you insulin resistant and lead to diabetes. But fructose is far worse than glucose.
So tell us a little bit about the 7 hidden sugars so that we can look out for these sugars.
So you want to look at roots, fruits, and grains, dressings, drinks, low-fat and no-fat dairy and diet foods, and sweeteners. And within each of those categories, it doesn't mean cut all those foods out, but it means make better swaps in each of those types of things. Instead of, say, the sweet potato fries, have some butternut squash fries. Instead of, say, again, the whole wheat bread, have a coconut wrap, which is an amazing, amazing food. Instead of a sweetened drink, or an artificially sweetened drink, was just as bad, have a fruit essence water with no added sugar. So there's simple swaps in each of these categories, but those were the 7 categories where I saw the biggest issues happening.
Do you recommend any kind of sweeteners as good for you?
There are some sweeteners out there that actually are healthy. They're good for you. And monk fruit's one of them. Stevia is one of them. These have been found to be safe for diabetics and actually can help with blood sugar control. And then the sugar alcohols, erythritol and xylitol too. Those are both obvious choices. Now, cinnamon and vanilla and chicory are some other ones, and I especially like cinnamon because it can help balance blood sugar. And I love vanilla because it can raise the feel-good neurotransmitter serotonin so you don't crave sugar.
Well, those are excellent, excellent little helpers. Thank you so much, JJ, for being here. I think this really clarifies a lot for me, for sure, and I'm sure for our viewers. Thank you again.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. This week's Ask Carol is up next.
Want to know how